How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud, to Daf Kuf Lamed Tes, Daf 139 of Masechta BavaBasra, friends. Whatever. Today we're going to study the last Mishnah of Perek Yesh Nochalim. We're going to finish today Perish Yesh Nochalim, and in order to finish Perek Yesh Nochalin, we must begin with the Mishnah. And Daf Kuf Lamed Tes Amud Aleph says the Mishnah, Niach Bonim Gidol Muktanim. If somebody dies and there are children, big children, little children, and Agdolim is Parnesin Aidaktanim Blaktanim Nizonin al Agdelim. So the big ones do not. So basically, nobody should kind of just chaparayim, right? Meaning the estate needs to be divided up, k'moshe tzarich, right? Mesudar. The gedolim should not start misparnesin. He says Rashbam levush v'chsus, and the younger ones nizonim mizonos mamish. But I mean, really, my understanding is it means like nobody should be, start pillaging raiding the estate before it's properly divided up. The reason why it says misparnesin by the gedolim and mizonis by the ketanim is because that's the kind of where the bigger expenses are for adults versus children. But people they shouldn't start sort of raiding the estate before they divide it up properly. Rather, they divide it up equally, and then once everybody has their parts, they can do whatever they want with their inheritance. Now, if any of the adults jumped the gun and took money, took value from the estate, took money, let's say, from the estate in order to get married, well, if the adults did it, well, it's only fair that the children are also entitled to the same. Now, but if the adults did not do such, however, if when the father was alive, the adult children got married, so memele, they got married from the father's estate. So if now that the father is dead, the ketanim argue that it's only fair that we should be able to get married from our father's estate before it's divided up, just like you did, that does not work. Rather, they divide it up equally, and then their inheritance can go towards their wedding. Right? Fine. So Ein Shom Elohim, we don't listen to the Ketanim Ela Mashanosun Lemavim Nosun. Rather, whatever they get their inheritance that is for them, and they can use that inheritance to pay for the chasana. Now we're going to say the same thing be'etzim for girls. Hinech bonus gedolos uktanis. Right? If there are no boys but there are girls, so they inherit the father. So Eina gedolos misparnesis al yidei ketanis. Again, neither the adults or the children should just start, taking money out of the estate before it's divided up. They divide it up equally, and then they can do whatever they want with their portions. Nasu gedolis yisu ketanis. If the adults took from the estate to get married, well, then the ketanim, it's only fair that they are entitled to do the same. But if the ketanim say, well, you adults got married when our father was alive, i.e., your wedding was paid for, before we're now going to divide up the estate, so it's only fair that our wedding should be paid for prior to us dividing up the estate. Ein Shom Elohim, we don't accept that argument. Rather, they divide it up equally, and then their portion, the portion of the ketanis can be used to pay for their probably nedunya. Zechomer b'bonis mi babonim, and the following is a stringency by girls than by boys. Shabonis nizonis al habonim, ve'nizonis al habonis, which is that when the we're going to learn about that in Perek Mishames, but be'etzem when there are boys, they calculate, right? They if they have brothers, so we would first calculate all of the mizonis of the daughters, all the funds that are going to be needed to pay for the mizonis, for the food for the daughters until they either get married or become adults. And that is paid to them milchatchila. Whereas when they're only daughters, well then, they divide up the estate, and whatever their portion is, it is. Even if it turns out to be less than they would have had if there were boys. Okay, fine. So the Rashbam points out meaning a katanis min agdolos. So it's meaning if you think about the katanis, if there were boys, so then they would get paid their mizonos in full. But now the katanis don't necessarily get their mizonos in full prior to the gedolis getting. Rather, they all divided up equally. Okay, says the Gemara Amar Rav says I gadol ache. If one of the adult brothers, the lavash that used money from the estate to buy nice clothing. V'ichse mi beisa, and he took money from the estate in order to get nice clothing. My David Avad, what he has done is done. What he has done is done, and the reason is says the Rashbam, Gadol ache shenosim v'nosim v'nechasim v'ika ano liyasmi ki michse malbushim noim ki echid l'shtam umile. If he's going to be managing the funds of the estate, so then it's in their benefit, arguably, that he buys nice clothing so that he can, be respected as a respectable businessman. So my David Ovid, whatever he did is done, but as the Rashbam points out to me, lechatchila ein lo levaz beis b'momen echav kokach, but lechatchila he really shouldn't be, using the estate for his own needs. But didn't we learn in our Mishnah ein agdol mispanis in al-ktanim? But didn't our Mishnah say that the gedolim are not allowed to use the money from the state before it is divided up? Maslisin b'sharka. Well, our Mishnah is talking about a guy who is not he's not going and doing any business. So yeah, he shouldn't take out of the estate. B'sharka pshita. But obviously, if he's just kind of sitting around, he shouldn't be taking money from the estate. Ma'adatema may have thought nichalu telo ninvol. Well, maybe it's it's beneficial to everybody if this adult is not looking like a shlump. Kamash Milan, no, he shouldn't take from the estate until it's divided up properly. But apparently, if he's going to be, I guess, benefiting the estate somehow, I don't know what the Rashbam says, he's like doing business or something, right? I don't know, he's somehow, I guess, managing the estate for them. So if he's managing the estate for them, and so it's beneficial for them if he kind of looks presentable, so he can use money from the estate. Okay, but if he's just kind of sitting around, then he can't. Nasu gedolim yisu ketanim. So okay. So my comment, what exactly is going on in this Mishnah? So I'm going to review this as virach. Comment, this is what's going on. Nasu gedolim leachar misas avein. So if the adults got married after their father died, yisu ketanim. So then the minors also, meaning if the adults got married after the father died, but prior to dividing up the estate, so then the ketanim can do the same. Lachar misas avian. Where am I? So avian yesu ketanim lachar misas avian. So avian. So the ketanim can do the same. Avol nosu gedolim b'chai avian. But if the adults got married while their father was alive, ram ketanim, and then after the father died, the minors say lachar misas avian hare anu nosin kederech shenososam atem, and they say, well, we also want to have our weddings paid for prior to dividing up the estate. Ein shom alone, we don't listen to them. Ella mashnosan lenavian nosan. Rather, whatever they are meant to receive for their estate, they receive, and that money can go towards their chasana. Heniach bonus gedolos v'ktanis shalach le'avua bar gniva l'Rav. So avua bar gniva sent to Rav. Yilamdenu Rabbeinu teach us love sove ochlo. Aha. So if you have a girl who takes out a loan, okay, she takes out a loan, and I guess she used the money, and then now she gets married, and Memela, when she gets married, all of the property that she owns, she's bringing in to the marriage. Bal lokeach ave o yoresh ave. So the shaila is, now that they're married and all of her property was brought into the marriage, is her husband considered to vis-a-vis the property? Is the husband considered like a lokeach, somebody who purchased the property, or is he considered like somebody who inherited the property? Lokeach ave umilva apeh enu gov min al-lukuchas. Do we say he's treated like a lokeach, a buyer, and a milve al peh, a loan, I guess without, I think it's without, certainly no document. Was there witnesses? I can't remember. Somewhere we said that if you do a milva al peh without witnesses, that's like really bad. I can't remember where that is. But anyways, but if it's a milva al peh, okay, it's not written down. There's no document for it. Eino government alakuchos, that cannot be collected from lekuchis. So if we said the husband is considered like lokeach, so it sounds like this loan was a milva al peh. So the baal chov, the creditor, would be unable to collect from the husband since he's a lokeach, and milva al peh cannot be collected from lekuchis. So then, or perhaps yorei shave, the husband would be considered like an inheritor, somebody who inherited the property. Umilva al peh gove min hayorshin, and a milva al peh, so this loan would be able to be collected from an inheritance. So is the husband considered like a lokeach or like a yorish? A lokeach, in which case the loan would be unable to be collected from the property, or like a yorish, in which case the loan would be able to be collected from the property. Amalei Tanina. So Rava says, well, we learn in our Mishnah, Nosu Gedolis Yisu Ketanis, that if the Gedolis got married, well then the Ketanis can get married. My love, what does this mean? So it means, I don't know, it sounds like it means like, I guess the adult, who got married, maybe like brought the entire estate, I guess, into the marriage. I don't really understand what that means, but okay. So my love, Nasu Gedolis Liva'al. So if the adults get married, Yisu Ketanis Mi Baal. So then when the Ketanis want to get married, they can, I guess, get money for their wedding from the husband, which means that the estate is with the husband. The husband therefore would be considered like a yoresh, and that way the Ketanim would be able to have a claim against the property. No, Nosu Gedolos Leval, Yisu Ketanus Leval. No, it means that they divide. It means that not all the property goes to the husband of the first guy, of the first daughter, of the adult. Rather, if the adult got married and took money from the estate, well then the younger one can do the same before it's divided up. Ini, is that really so? That we say Nosu Gedolos Leval, Yisu Ketanos Leval. Veha Tani Rabchia taught Nosu Gedolos Leval, Yisu Ketanos Mibal. But Rabchia Taka says, right, Nosu Gedolos Leval, Yisu Gedolos Mibal, which means that it sounds like we're taking away from the husband, which means that he would be a yorish. But Dilma, maybe you could say that the husband actually is considered like a lokeach, but Dilma Shani Parnasa, it's different when it comes to the nedunya, right? This is right these ketanos want money for a nedunya. The isla kala, because there is a call, people know about it, and therefore because that there are these girls and these daughters, and they're going to need a nedunya, and therefore memela, because there's a call attached with the fact that there are these younger sisters who are going to need a nedunya, so they can collect even from the lokeach, from the husband. He could be considered like a lokeach. Amina Papa, the Papa says to Rava, Lav Hainu Deshalach Ravin Beigrisei. Is this not what Ravin sent in his letter? What did he send? Mishameis Vineach Amana Uvas. That somebody who dies and leaves a widow and a daughter. Amanosu Nizonis Minachosov. So the widow can be have her mizonis, food, paid from the estate. Nises Habas. Now, if the daughter now gets married, okay, so now I guess the daughter is bringing the estate into her marriage. And nonetheless, the widow would continue to be sustained from the property, which means that it would be like a Yerusha. Okay. Mesa habas, if the bas dies, Amr Rav Yehuda ben Achoso shel Reb Yossi Reb Chanina al Yodi Ayamaisa, that this might happen for Amru, and they said Amanos and Nizonis mina chosov, that the widow can still be supported from the estate that was brought into the marriage, her daughter's marriage. I understand if we say that the husband would be considered like an inheritor. For this reason, that is why the almana can continue being sustained from his property, because he's like an inheritor. But if you say that he is a purchaser, why should she be able to be supported from the property? So Omer Abaye says, Abaye, Ilav Shalach Ravin Anan Lo Yadinan. 1 second. If not for the fact that Ravin sent this, would we not already know that the husband would be considered like a inheritor? But we learn in the Mishnah, the following things do not revert to the original owners at the Jubilee year, at Yovel, HaBechora. The chelek of the Bechor that he receives for his Pishnayim would not revert at Yovel. Vayorish Asishto. And somebody who inherits his wife, it does not return at Yovel. If he was like a lokeach, like a buyer, then it should revert at Yovel. But it doesn't, which means that he's a Yoresh. And the Rava says, yeah, but still, even once we have this letter from Ravin, would that actually even make a difference? Because after all, the takonas usha, the shala, right? Beusha eskinu. The Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina says, "Beusha eskinu ha'isha shemacha b'nichsei melog b'chai b'ayla." If a wife sells her nichsei melog, right? This is property that she owns. She sells it when her husband is alive, when they're married. Umesa, and then she dies. So abba motzim yada lekuchis. So the husband can take it away. So meaning you have a husband and a wife. She has her own property. That's nichsei melog. She then sells it, while they're still married, and then she dies. So actually, the husband can take it away from the person who bought it because he is the lokeach rishon, right? He is considered to have bought it first before the person who bought it from the wife, because they're married, which means that he's a lokeach, not a yoresh. Elo Amar Ravashi, rather says Ravashi, Bal Shavir Rabbanan Kiyosh, Shavir Rabbanan Kilokeach. Rather, the husband can be treated both like an inheritor as well as like a buyer. And they, whatever would work in his benefit is what they did. So when it comes to Yovel, where if he's a lokeach, right, if he's considered like a lokeach with vis-a-vis his wife's what his wife brought into the marriage, well, then comes Yovel, it would revert, right, like everything that's been purchased. So therefore, it works out better for him if he's an inheritor. So we treat him like somebody, like a yoresh there. By Reb Yossi Reb Chanina, by Takonas Usha, Shavir Rabbanan Kilokeach Mishum Pseida Didei. So we treat him like a lokeach because in that case, right, where his wife sold the nichsei melog, if he was considered to have bought it before the person who she sold it to bought it, well then he will get it if his wife dies. So again, we treat him, so he's considered like a lokeach in that case because it benefits him there. Gabe de Ravin, and when it comes to Ravin, when it comes to Ravin, which was the scenario where somebody died and he had a wife and a daughter. The daughter then got married and then the daughter died. Right, so we're saying that she can continue getting from the estate. So Mishum Seder Da'amana Shavir Rabbanan Ki Yoresh, that because we're looking out for the widow, so we treat him like an inheritor so that she can continue to get her mizonos. But by Takanas Usha, right, meaning how come we're looking out to take care of the widow to make sure that she'll still be able to collect her mizonos, and yet when it comes to Takanas Usha, we're not looking out for the person who bought the nichsei melug from the wife. Instead, we're prioritizing the husband. What about looking out for the lokeach, just like we looked out for the almana? Well, by the Nichsei Malug, that buyer kind of had it coming to him. If a woman is married and she's got a husband, he shouldn't really be getting involved there and buying her Nichsei Malug when the husband, there's a husband and he would really get first dibs to inherit it, and you shouldn't really get involved there. So therefore there we're not so concerned about the lokeach there, and we say it goes to the husband. We treat the husband like the original buyer before the person who bought it from the wife. But when it comes to the almana, we do care about the widow, and we want to make sure that she can continue having mizonis, and therefore we treat the husband like a yoresh, so that she can collect from him. Adon olach yesh no chalin. We will come back to Perek yesh no chalin.